Welcome back, TCGers. We have a lot of the set 2 spoiled already. We have all the leaders, and guess what? I wanted to take a few moments to discuss my thoughts on what would probably be the best hero or leader to use during your pre-release. So let's go ahead and get this started. The first one we have here is Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan has an on attack. You may deal 1 damage to a unit, and if you attack with another Mandalorian unit, this phase you may deal 1 damage to a unit. Bo-Katan is a 4/7 when it's deployed, so it has pretty decent defense. My only issue right now with Bo-Katan is that if you draw or open a lot of Mandos from your 6 packs, then I think she's really good. If you don't really open mini Mandos, then I don't think she's going to be that good. So because of that, I'm going to put her in the maybe list, right? The maybe list is it just really depends on what you get. The next one is Boba Fett. I think of all of the green leaders, Boba Fett is pretty good. He's a 4/7, which is our decent stats. Each other friendly unit that has 1 or more keywords gets +1 and 0. This is actually because sealed, you won't always have the most optimal unit. So basically when he's deployed, if you have a larger board presence, your characters get stronger. Because it being sealed, like I said, the rounds tend to go faster and usually more of the aggro wins. But I think Boba has pretty good incremental value, so I'm gonna put him in the good section. Boss is a 4/6 when he's deployed as a leader. When you collect the bounty, you could collect that again, so you get double bounties each round if you use it. I think Boss is actually pretty good, but again, comes down to, did you get bounties or you didn't get bounties? If you got a bunch of bounties, I think Boss might be one of the best ones to have. But if you don't, then I think he's average. He's different than Bo-Katan because I think he's better than Bo-Katan just in general. So I would probably put him in good and the good bracket. Next one, Cad Bane. So of all the yellow leaders, I think Cad Bane for sealed is probably the best choice. And then he's also that conditional. If you drew a lot of underworld cards or units, most underworld tends to be characters or units, space units, ground units, or sometimes there are some tricks like McClunky and so forth. Lady Proxima with him is going to be very good. I'm going to go ahead and put Cad Bane at good tier because he's a 2/8. He has raid 2, so he's basically a 4 when attacking, but the 8 defense on a leader in a sealed format I think is very good. It helps your leader stay around longer, and then you can use his ability a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and put Cad Bane. He's going to probably be either right at the beginning, the highest pick of good, or I might put him at the end of the best. We'll see how we do him, but right now I'm going to have him top of the good list. Well, Dr. Aphra, unfortunately, Dr. Aphra, I don't think you should play her whatsoever. She's a 2/5 when she's deployed, and then she relies on, you have to have different cost cards in your discard for her to get +3/0 that make her a 5/5. I think that's very hard to do in the limited. You have like 30 cards. So I don't think Afra is going to be a good choice for sealed. Finn is another leader. His decent 4/6 stats, right? On attack, you can defeat a friendly upgrade on the unit. If you do, give a shield token to that unit. I just don't think he's that good for sealed. I think his on attack isn't that good. I don't know how often you would want to use that, how often you'll be using that one to defeat an upgrade on your unit just to give them a shield. It might be necessary to keep them alive. I don't know. Maybe I'm not entirely sure how Finn would work. I don't think he's good at sealed at all. Finnick is next. So Finnick's an interesting leader. It's a 4/4 when she's deployed, so I think that to me is already not a good sign because you could probably take her out pretty quickly. She does have Saboteur, which is pretty good, and then she has the action where you can play a unit that costs 4 or less from your hand, and you have to pay its cost to give it ambush. The leader phase, obviously you're going to be looking at playing, you have to pay 1 for it. I think she's okay. It might be a maybe if you have You'll be able to get some. You got some good ramp where you can help bring out these ambush guys to help clear your opponent's board faster. Maybe be worth it. I'm not entirely sure. Next we have is Han Solo. Han Solo is a 3/6. I like the 6 defense. It helps keep him up. And his is action play unit from your hand. It costs 1 less, so you deal 2 damage. I think that's really good. I'm gonna put Han Solo as one of the best sealed leaders to get, just because with this game you won't have the best optimal starting hands sometimes, just because it just depends on your pool. So you may be able to pay a 3 cost unit right at your first turn by dealing 2 damage to it. And if you go with like Han and go with blue, where you get some of those grit characters, they're just becoming stronger. So it's a big threat right off the bat. So I do think Han Solo is kind of going to be one of the best leaders to have and seal. Gar Saxon again, we're looking at each friendly unit that's upgraded. So that's shields, that's whatever upgrade you may attach. They get +1 and 0, and when they're defeated, you can return one of the upgrade to your hand. I think if you get a good amount of upgrades, I think Gar Saxon will be a good hero to pick. I don't think he'll be the best hero to pick, but I think he's good. So when I would rank these guys, I would probably be looking like this right now: Cad Bane and Boss, followed by Gar Saxon, then Boba. Next we have is Hondo Onaka. He is a 3/7. He has raid 1, so it's effectively a 4/7. And when you play a card using Smuggle, you make an experience token to a unit. My biggest question mark is how prevalent is Smuggle, and if Smuggle's any good during like a limited format. I think it could be good, but can you ramp up to help use those Smuggle cards, because they tend to cost more than the actual cost of the card. For that being said, I'm probably going to lean with a maybe on Hondo. It just really depends if you got some ramp and you also have some good smuggle cards that you can use towards the mid and late game. Hunter's a 5/8. He's very defensive on attack. On his leader side, he has overwhelm as well. You may reveal a resource you control. If it shares the same name as a friendly unit, return the resource to its owner's hand and put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. It helps you to, get some of your units that you may have resourced early on, so you can have them back in your hand. Unfortunately, with sealed, the chances of you getting multiple cards of the same are a lot low, so I'm just gonna have to put him at I wouldn't even play him. Jabba the Hutt. He got a big butt. He's a 12 defense when he's deployed as the leader, 2 attack. When he is deployed, another friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit, and then he has an action for this phase. Choose a unit for this phase that gains bounty. The next unit you play this phase costs 2 less. So essentially, you can exhaust them, put a bounty on something, then your next action you kill it, and then you can play something and reduce the cost, right? I think that's pretty good. It's incremental value. So just because of its incremental, I'm gonna say it's good. It's just like Boba. It's incrementally better each later round, but again, most of these games you won't go past 7 or 8 rounds, so I don't know if it's going to be that great. We got Kylo Ren. Kylo, I think, is pretty dope. He is deployed. He's a 5/4, and then he gets -1 for each card in his hand. So ideally, when you deploy him, you don't want to have the cards in the hand. But I think in terms of just straight aggro, I think a lot of these sealed events, you probably want to go down the aggro route. And I definitely like Kylo. I think he will be one of the better leaders to have. He's pretty straightforward. So I mean, aggression, you have a lot of just any cards that have big attack, maybe even low defense, are probably going to be the cards you want to have with Kylo. Pairing up the bases just really depends on what you pull. It's hard to tell you what other color you go with Kylo. I wouldn't do double aggression though, because you probably won't have enough cards to fill out a deck. So it's definitely, you want to go with a different aspect. Lando, we got Lando next. Lando 2/5, and then when you play a card using smuggle, it costs 2 less. Then defeat a resource you control, you only can use that ability. For sealed, I'm sorry, I don't see how you can play Lando during your pre-release. I just don't think he's good for pre-release. Next, we have the Mandalorian. So remember, the Mandalorian is actually going to be one of your cards that you can get at pre-release. If you don't pull any leaders or any decent leaders, you can use the Mandalorian or Moff Gideon. I think the Mandalorian is a solid card, and for that reason I'm gonna put him up in the best, because when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy that costs 6 or less, and just exhausting your opponent while you're putting upgrades is actually good, because that's one less unit that can attack your base, and then it also is buffing your unit so you can hit your opponent's base harder. I think at your pre-release you're going to see a lot of Mandalorian as the leader. I won't be surprised if it's a third of the field is playing Mandalorian. He's very, very good. Moff Gideon is very similar to all the green heroes. They're like green leaders, very meh for the most part. So I'm gonna put Moff Gideon probably up here with he's good, but the thing about Moff Gideon is you got to have some of those troopers and get them stronger. Maybe some upgrades could help, but he's very much an incremental type guys. So with that, I'm actually gonna slightly move Cad Bane to the end of this list. Next we have Kira. Kira is interesting. She has grit, which is good, right? It's gonna give her, so she comes in with 0-8, so she can't do any damage, but she does have grit. So if she has 7 damage on her, she's a 7 attack, right? And then her deployed, she heals all the damage from each unit and then does half of the remaining rounded down. I think that's very meh as well. If you run and happen to pull a lot of grit units, then I think Kira is going to be very good for your deck. Otherwise, I don't see her being... She was kind of in that tier with Bo-Katan and Hondo and Finnick. Lastly, we have Rey. Rey is a 2/6. She has Restore 3, and on attack, you can give experience token to a unit with 2 or less power. Her leader side is you pay 1 and give experience token. I'm gonna tell you right off the rip, in a limited format, especially sealed, which is the pre-release, I think Restore 3 is crazy powerful. With that being said, I'm gonna put Rey. Rey is the best, followed by Han, followed by, I would say Kylo and the Mandalorian are about the same. So if you pull these 4, I would say these probably would be the 4 best heroes to use in your pre-release. Now, if you pulled any of these guys on the good tier, like Cad Bane, Boss, Gar Saxon, Boba, Jabba, and Gideon, I think these guys are pretty good. The maybes are going to be very difficult to set up a good deck with. And if you get Dr. Actor, Finn, Hunter, and Lando, you just don't even use them and go and use either the Mando or Gideon. I think if you pulled, like, these were the 4 leaders you got in your packs, I would say, I guess we'll be shifting to the Mandalorian, probably, is my opinion. What do you guys think about this? Do you disagree with some of my tier rankings? If you do, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. Have you play tested? Have you done any proxy printing and kind of made a sealed deck? I would like to know. This is just my initial thoughts. I could be wrong. All right, later, guys.